Jimmy Kimmel can't stop running his mouth. Last time we talked about him, he had just come back on air and was met with a decent amount of viewership, and then it all went away all of a sudden because no one really was interested in watching the show. They just wanted to see what he was going to say when he came back after completely lying, blatantly lying, knowing the correct information that was available at the time about Charlie Kirk and who committed the crime in the first place. So that is what we're dealing with Jimmy Kimmel here. So there's a video that surfaced that where he's in an interview with another person here, and basically they asked him about immigration laws, and Jimmy Kimmel, for whatever reason, is trying to pin this on Christians by saying, what would Jesus think of this? Kind of the what would Jesus do in this situation and circumstance. So let's check this clip out here.
Christianity is
something else
has
now.
been co-opted and perverted in such a way, and that I find especially upsetting. And that, you know, I think about what Jesus would think of this stuff, you know, and I mean, it seems pretty plain that he wouldn't think it's great, that he wouldn't approve of nannies being yanked out of the park and thrust into a van to be returned to their home countries because their paperwork is not in order. That just all really seems very obvious to me. And I think that it is to most people, but it's become this us versus them. It's become almost like sports where I root for the red team and you root for the blue team, and everything the blue team does is good and everything the red team does is bad, and vice versa. And I just sometimes I hope, and maybe foolishly, that it will resonate with at least those people who don't have their minds completely made up.
So here's the thing, right? He's obviously trying to give it an explanation about Christianity, which is something that he does not understand. Okay, like plain and honest about the situation. Jimmy Kimmel is the last person that needs to be saying anything about Jesus, anything about Christianity, especially coming from the fact that he doesn't know what is going on with that. He doesn't know anything about it. Doubt this guy's ever actually picked up a Bible and read anything from it. But here's the thing. Let's start off with what he said first, which is that he feels like Christianity has been perverted. Well, if we want to look at the truth behind that statement, really what it is that it's been perverted into what he thinks Christianity is, which is this love everything all the time, love, love, love. Nobody can do any wrong. There's no such thing as sin. That is the perversion of Christianity that's prevalent in the United States today. Not what he's talking about, where we're falling back on fundamental beliefs that are actually in the Bible. Now, as far as the situation that he's bringing up with Jesus, we have to look at the laws of the land at the time during the times of the Bible, right? We have to look at exactly what was going on then and what Jesus did. First of all, Jesus was not this pushover. He was not this person that just sat there and said, I'm going to let all of this stuff happen to me and I don't really care. Remember, Jesus flipped the tables in the temple because of the fact that what they were doing was wrong in that space. So he was righteously angry at those times. These people, of course, don't know that. And in this situation, what we see is a government that is basically saying you need to abide by the law. There's a certain thing that's called legal and illegal. Some things you can do and can't do. I would imagine that, based off of the teachings of the Bible, that if you entering a country illegally against the law would be probably considered as a sin. That's something you're not supposed to do. You know what's right from wrong, and you decided that you didn't want to do that. You don't get to decide for yourself what is right or wrong. If the country that you're in, it has certain laws, then you are to respect those laws. That's what the Christianity is about as well, that we respect those laws, but we practice Christianity. And that's really the whole point of this, is that these two things are separate, but as long as we are living under the government, which it says in the Bible that the government rests on the shoulders of Jesus, that means that we are to abide by those laws of the land that are there. So it would be a sin to sit there and specifically, commit crimes just because you feel a certain way about something. And that's what's really happening here with this circumstance. So the truth is that Jesus, regardless of how he felt about what the government was doing, I don't think he would really care about that. What would be happening is that the actual people that needed help would be getting the help that they actually needed where they're at, in Mexico or wherever they're from, right? That's why we have missionaries that go to these places all the time. What has Jimmy Kimmel done? What has he done with the amount of money and notoriety that he has? What has he actually done besides sat there and voted for somebody that said, let everybody in the country, and that's going to fix something somehow? we also can't deny the fact that these people being here hurt U.S. citizens. That is not what Christianity is about. It was never about giving people a free handout or giving people some ability to stay somewhere or for free meals or whatever, without there being the stipulation that, hey, it's not hurting someone else in order for them to get something. These same people also are the ones that are arguing for, healthcare for these illegal aliens. And then they're saying, well, it's passionate, it's empathy. That's what we should be doing as Christians. But they completely ignore the fact that you were stealing money from the taxpayer to pay somebody else. And how in the world do you think that that's going to pass as a virtue or something that's good that you did? You didn't pay any of your specific money specifically to that person out of the goodness of your own heart. It was stolen from you by the government because somebody else voted on it to give it to someone else. And you're calling that, or trying to take credit as that, being something that Jesus would want. That is so backwards and antithetical to the beliefs of Christianity entirely. So Jimmy Kimmel, no idea what he's talking about, right? Never has known what he's dealing with. But people love to bring this up that have a very shallow understanding of what Christianity is, because they just think it's just being nice all the time. They don't understand that there are laws that are in the Bible, that people, even in the time of the Bible, respected the laws of the land as well, and that the government was an institution. Remember, they had kings back then, okay? You just protested no kings. Jesus was not trying to overthrow the throne. That never happened. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Remember to like this video and to subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one.